The defense station shook as another explosion ripped through its outer hull. Commander gripped the railing of the command deck, his weathered face illuminated by red emergency lights. Through the massive viewport, he watched Earth burn below. Fires dotted the surface like angry scars, marking where the alien warships had struck. "Sir, the Shanghai station just went dark," said from her console. The young communications officer's voice trembled despite her training. "That makes 7 stations lost in the past hour." Closed his eyes for a moment. 7 stations, 7,000 people, gone. "What about the fleet?" he asked. "Scattered. They hit us too hard, too fast. Most ships are retreating to Mars." Looked up at him, fear naked in her eyes. "Sir, we're alone out here." The station shook again. Sparks flew from a damaged panel near the ceiling. The chief engineer was already moving toward it with her repair tools. She had barely slept in 3 days, keeping the dying station operational through sheer will and determination. "Commander," the tactical officer pointed at his screen. "Multiple contacts incoming. Battle group looks like 12 capital ships." Walked to the tactical display. 12 ships against 1 damaged station. The math was simple and brutal. He could evacuate now, save the 200 people still aboard, or he could fight, buy a few more minutes for the escape pods leaving Earth below. "Charge weapons," he said, "all batteries." Sir stood up. "We can't win this fight." "I know," looked at her, "but we can make them remember us." Before could respond, her console beeped. She frowned, putting a hand to her earpiece. "Sir, I'm getting something strange. It's encrypted, high-level military code, really old code from before the war." "Can you decrypt it?" "Already done. It's just coordinates and 2 words." She looked confused. "The coordinates point to the belt way out past Neptune, and the words are 'he's awake.'" Felt ice run through his veins. Those words, he knew those words, but that was impossible. That project had ended 40 years ago. "Who sent it?" he demanded. "I don't know." The signal bounced through a dozen relay points, could be coming from anywhere. An explosion rocked the station harder than before. The lights flickered and died for 3 seconds before backup power kicked in. "Sir, we need to evacuate now," called from across the deck. "Hull integrity is down to 30%. Made his decision. "Send those coordinates to my son. Tell to take his squadron and investigate." "But sir—" "Do it, then start evacuation procedures. Everyone to the escape pods." His fingers flew over her console. "Message sent, but Commander, what about you?" "I'll be right behind you, I promise." The ships opened fire. The station's shields flared and died under the assault. Watched his tactical display as sections of the station turned red, then black. Dead zones. His people dying. "Evacuation in progress," reported. "Pods launching now." On the screen, could see squadron breaking away from the battle heading out system. His son was a good pilot, the best in the fleet. If anyone could reach those coordinates, it was. "Commander, they are hailing us," said. She hadn't left her post yet. "Put them through." The screen changed to show a warlord. The alien's 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction. Its mouth parts clicked as it spoke through the translator. "Human Commander, your defenses are broken. Your world is ours. Surrender now and you will be allowed to live as servants of the Empire." Straightened his uniform. "Tell your Emperor something for me. Tell him that humans don't surrender. We might lose, but we never stop fighting." The eyes narrowed. "Then you will die." "Probably, but you'll remember us." He cut the transmission. "Get to the pods, that's an order." "Sir, I—" "Go." Ran, went with her, pulling the younger woman along. Stood alone on the command deck as the station fell apart around him. He armed the station's self-destruct system, then made his way to the last escape pod. As the pod fell away from the dying station, watched it explode. The blast caught 2 ships, crippling them. Not much, but something. a final act of defiance. The pod's radio crackled. It was the emergency frequency broadcasting from Earth, a voice he recognized, the President. To all human forces, this is a general order. Earth surrenders. All ships are to stand down and await further instructions. The Empire has accepted our terms. The war is over. Closed his eyes. Over, they had lost. The pod drifted toward Mars, where other survivors were gathering, watched Earth shrink behind him. The planet looked peaceful from this distance, beautiful even, but he knew what was happening down there. They were landing, taking control, crushing what remained of human civilization. Hours passed. The pod systems kept him alive, recycling air, rationing water. He dozed, exhausted beyond measure. A transmission woke him, his voice, but broken and distorted by distance. "Father, I reached the coordinates. There's something out here, something big." Static filled the channel. "It's a ship, black, bigger than a carrier. There are markings on the hull, old Korean script. And Father, it's moving, it's—" The transmission cut out. "Respond," hammered the console. "Come in." Nothing but silence. Tried for an hour to reestablish contact. Nothing worked. His son was gone, disappeared into the dark reaches of the solar system. The pod finally docked with a refugee ship near Mars. Exhausted survivors filled the corridors, found and among them. They looked at him with hollow eyes, the eyes of people who had lost everything. "Did you hear from?" asked. "He reached the coordinates, then I lost him." What was out there? Thought about those two words. He's awake. He thought about old stories, legends from the last war, Project Reaper, a ship that was supposed to change everything, a weapon that scared even the people who built it. "I don't know," he said, "but maybe it's hope." 3 weeks later, reports started coming in. Patrol ships were disappearing near the outer planets. At first just one or two, then more. The blamed equipment failures, navigational errors, but knew better. Something was hunting in the dark. Something had awakened. And it was coming home. The rain fell on the ruins of Seoul, washing ash from broken buildings. Moved through the shadows, his boots silent on wet concrete. Behind him, 5 resistance fighters followed, each carrying weapons stolen from supply depots. 3 weeks had passed since Earth surrendered. 3 weeks of occupation, of aliens walking through human streets like they owned them. Because they did. They had divided Earth into sectors, relocating populations, humans like livestock. Had been a special forces operator before the war. Now he was something else, a ghost, a thorn in the side of the occupation. "Target ahead," whispered Sara, his second in command. She pointed to a checkpoint 2 blocks away. 4 guards checking identification papers of humans trying to move between sectors. "Same as last time," said, quick and quiet. They moved like smoke through the ruins. They never saw them coming. 8 minutes later, the checkpoint was empty except for 4 unconscious guards. People didn't kill unless necessary. Dead guards meant reprisals against civilians. "Take their weapons and comm units," ordered. "Wu will want to study them." Wu was their tech specialist, a hacker who had somehow managed to tap into communications. The kid was young, barely 20, but brilliant. He worked from a hidden bunker beneath an old subway station. As they moved back through the ruins, his radio crackled. It was the doctor who ran their medical station in the underground. "We have injured coming in. Raided the market in Sector 7. 3 wounded, 1 critical. We're coming." The medical station was hidden behind a collapsed building. Had somehow kept power running, using old generators scavenged from the ruins. The wounded lay on makeshift beds and worked quickly, her hands steady despite the stress. "How bad?" asked. "They'll live, but this is the 3rd raid this week. They are getting aggressive." Before could respond, Wu burst into the station. The young hacker was excited, his laptop clutched to his chest. "Boss, you need to see this. I intercepted something big." They gathered around Wu's laptop. The screen showed military transmissions, translated by Wu's custom software. "Patrol Group Epsilon went dark yesterday," Wu explained. "That's 8 ships. They are calling it equipment failure, but listen to this." He played an audio file. Static mostly, but then a voice, panicked and afraid. "Something is out there. We can't get a lock on it, it's too fast. It just appeared and the transmission ended in a scream." "That's the 3rd patrol group this week," Wu said. "They are losing ships near the outer planets. They don't know what's happening." Felt something stir in his chest. Hope, maybe, or just desperate wishful thinking. "Could be anything," he said. "Pirates, equipment failures, asteroid collisions." "Maybe, but there's more." Wu opened another file. "I hacked into their deep space surveillance network, found this." The screen showed grainy footage from a scout ship. Empty space, stars in the background. Then something moved across the screen, fast and dark. The footage froze and Wu zoomed in. A ship, black hull, sleek and predatory. Too far away for details, but clearly military. Human military. "That's impossible," said. "All our warships surrendered or were destroyed." "That's what I thought. So I did some digging in old Earth military databases. Found something interesting. Ever heard of Project Reaper?" Shook his head. "Neither had I. It was classified, buried deep. But I found fragments. Back in 2245, during the Titan Rebellion, Earth built an experimental warship. Something new, something dangerous. They bonded an AI directly to a human pilot's brain. The ship and pilot became one thing, thinking and moving together." "That's insane," said. "The neural damage alone." "Would be catastrophic, yeah. But apparently they found one volunteer crazy enough to try it. A captain named Sung. He led the assault that ended the Titan Rebellion. Saved millions of lives. Then he disappeared. The official record says he died in combat, but there's no body, no wreckage. The whole project just vanished from the records." Stared at the frozen image on the screen. "You think that's the same ship?" "I think something is killing out there. Something fast and deadly. Something that knows how to fight." A message came through on the secure channel. It was from Mars. The old commander from the defense station had been trying to coordinate resistance groups across the solar system. Opened the message. It was brief. "To all resistance cells, hope might be coming. Something is active in the outer system. Casualties mounting. Stay strong. Stay ready. When the time comes, we fight." That night more reports came in. A supply convoy had vanished between Jupiter and Saturn. 20 ships, carrying weapons and supplies for the occupation forces, gone without a trace. The increased security on Earth. More checkpoints, stricter controls. They were afraid, realized. The mighty empire, conquerors of a dozen worlds, were afraid of something in the dark. Weeks passed. The disappearances continued. They stopped calling them equipment failures. They assembled a battle fleet, sent it to hunt for the anomaly. 50 warships, heavily armed, searching the outer planets. Wu intercepted their transmissions. The fleet found something near Neptune. They engaged it. The transmissions became confused, panicked. Ships reporting weapons systems offline, shields failing, hulls breached. Impossible maneuvers by the target, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. Then silence. 2 days later, a single ship limped back to Earth orbit. Out of 50, only one survived. Its captain broadcast an emergency message to the fleet command. Wu intercepted it. The audio was shaky, the captain clearly traumatized. "It's not a ship, it's death itself. Black hull covered in human script. It doesn't fire normal weapons. It just appears, cuts through us and vanishes. We hit it with everything. Nothing worked. It's coming toward Earth. I don't think we can stop it." The message was cut off by high command, but Wu had already sent it to every resistance cell on Earth. In the bunker, and his people gathered around the laptop. They watched the footage the surviving ship had managed to capture. The black ship moving through the fleet like a knife through paper. Precise, deadly, unstoppable. "Is that really Sung?" asked quietly. "If it is, he's been gone for 40 years, said. "What would that do to a person? Bonded to a machine, alone in the dark for decades." "Maybe he's not human anymore," Wu said. "Maybe he's something else now." Thought about that, about what they needed. Not a hero, not a savior. They needed something they feared. They needed a weapon. They needed death itself. "Doesn't matter what he is," said. "If he's coming to kill, then he's on our side." 3 days later, every screen on Earth received the same transmission. It overrode communications, human networks, everything. A voice, human but somehow wrong. Too calm, too cold. "You came to my home. You hurt my people. I am Captain Sung of Earth's Navy. I have been asleep for a long time. I am awake now, and I am coming for you." The transmission ended, looked at his people. They stared back, eyes wide. "Get everyone ready," said. "When he arrives, we rise, all of us together. They are about to learn why you don't attack humanity." Outside, the rain continued to fall on the ruins of Seoul. But in the bunker, for the first time in 3 weeks, people smiled. Floated in the command core of the black ship, weightless and afraid. Around him, strange machinery hummed with power. Cables ran along the walls like veins, pulsing with blue light. At the center of the room, connected to dozens of those cables, was a man. Captain Sung hung suspended in a pod filled with clear fluid. His eyes were closed but could see the rapid movement beneath his eyelids, dreaming, or thinking, or something else entirely. "You shouldn't be here," a voice said. Spun, no one else was in the room. The voice had come from everywhere at once. "Who are you?" asked. "I am Reaper, this ship, this weapon, this tomb." A pause. "I am also Sung. We are one thing now, have been for 40 years. "I don't understand." "Neither did we at first. The scientists bonded us, human and machine. They thought Sung would control me. They were wrong, we merged. His thoughts are my thoughts. My power is his power. Together we became something new." A screen flickered to life, showing father's last message. The coordinates, the 2 words, "He's awake." "An old friend sent that message," Sung's voice said. The voice sounded more human now. "She was part of the original project. She kept me hidden all these years, waiting. She knew someday humanity might need me again." "Need you for what?" The pod opened. Fluid drained away and Sung's eyes opened. They glowed faintly blue like the cables around him. He looked young, barely 30, but his eyes were ancient. "For war," Sung said. "It's all I was ever good at." On Mars received a transmission, his voice alive and well. "Father, I found him, Captain Sung. He's real and he's coming home. But Dad, something's wrong with him. He's not completely human anymore. The ship and him, they're connected. I can't explain it. He knows things the ship knows. He sees things humans can't see. And he's angry, so angry." Shared the message with. The young officer had been helping coordinate resistance efforts from the Mars colony. "What do we do?" she asked. "We help him. Give him targets, intelligence, whatever he needs." "Sir, if he's as dangerous as the reports say, can we control him?" "No," said simply. "But maybe we don't need to. Maybe we just need to point him at the enemy and get out of his way." Sung moved through space like a predator. The Reaper's engines made no sound in vacuum, but if they had, it would have been a scream. He approached another patrol, 5 ships searching for him. "They think they're hunting me," Sung said too. The young pilot sat in a crash seat watching through the ships. "They don't understand, I'm hunting them." The Reaper phased into another dimension, becoming invisible to normal sensors. Sung had learned this trick during his long sleep, experimenting with the ship's experimental drive. They couldn't see him coming. He emerged behind the first ship, cutting through its engines with a focused beam, not destroying it, just crippling it. He wanted survivors. He wanted them to spread fear. The other 4 ships scattered, firing wildly. Sung phased again, reappeared above them. Another ship crippled, then another. "Why don't you just destroy them?" asked. "Because fear is more powerful than death," Sung replied. "Every survivor goes back and tells stories. The Reaper, the ghost ship, death itself. With each story they become more afraid. Fear makes soldiers hesitate. Hesitation makes them weak." The last 2 ships tried to run. Sung let them go, for now. Back in the hidden bunker on Earth, Wu tracked Sung's progress through intercepted communications. The aliens were panicking. Their military command couldn't understand how one ship was destroying entire fleets. "He's been taking out support ships," Wu explained too. "Supply convoys, fuel tankers, ammunition transports. He's not attacking the big warships yet. He's cutting their supply lines, making them weak." "That's smart," said. "Old military doctrine. Cut the enemy's supplies before you hit their main forces." "There's more. They are starting to fight each other. Some captains want to retreat, others want to stay and fight. Sung is dividing them." A new message came through from Mars. Had managed to contact Sung directly, using old military encryption codes from 40 years ago. Sung responded and shared the conversation with the Resistance. "Commander, it's been a long time. Tell me about Earth. Tell me what they did to my home." Told him everything. The surrender, the occupation, the suffering. Sung listened in silence. When finished, Sung's response was cold and simple. "Give me the locations of every command center on Earth. Every garrison, every weapons depot, every ship in orbit. I'm coming home, and I'm bringing hell with me." And the Resistance worked for 3 days, gathering intelligence. They mapped every installation, every patrol route, every weak point in the occupation's defenses. Wu compiled it all into a data package and sent it to Sung. The response came quickly. "Received. Tell your people to prepare. In 5 days I will enter Earth orbit. When I do, the Resistance must strike simultaneously. All cells, all targets, all at once. We will crush them in a single coordinated blow." "Can we trust him?" asked. "Do we have a choice?" The new Sung was coming. Their commander, Warlord, assembled a fleet above Earth. 100 warships armed and ready. He broadcast a message to the occupied planet. "Humans, your ghost ship changes nothing. We have enough firepower here to crack your planet in half. Surrender any Resistance fighters or we will level your cities." No one surrendered. On the 3rd day before Sung's arrival, something changed. The Reaper appeared at the edge of the solar system, fully visible on all sensors. It didn't hide anymore. It simply flew toward Earth, steady and inevitable. The fleet prepared for battle, was confident, 1 ship against 100, the math was clear. But had never fought humans before. Not really. He had fought Earth's organized military, bound by rules and tactics. He had never faced a human with nothing left to lose. A human who had become something more than human. Sung reached Jupiter. He broadcast a message on all frequencies, human and alike. "To all forces in the Sol system, you came to my home as conquerors. You believed humans were weak, easy to defeat. You were wrong. We are survivors, we are fighters, and we are vengeful. I am coming to show you what humans become when you take everything from them. I am coming to show you death." In the Resistance bunker gathered his fighters. Across Earth, other cells prepared for battle. They checked weapons, said goodbyes, made peace with whatever would come. "Tomorrow," said, "we fight for our world, we fight for our freedom, and we fight alongside something they have never faced before, a weapon that was willing to give up his humanity to protect ours." On the Reaper, Sung sat in his command pod, cables feeding directly into his brain. Watched him, seeing the blue light grow brighter in his eyes. "Father asks if you're ready," said. Sung smiled. It wasn't a human smile, not anymore. "I've been ready for 40 years. Tell to prepare the Resistance. Tell to mark his targets. and tell everyone on Earth to watch the sky tomorrow. They're about to see what their tax money paid for all those years ago." The ship accelerated, faster and faster, becoming a black streak across the solar system. "One more thing," Sung said. "Tell them not to be afraid of what I've become. Everything I am, everything I sacrificed, I did it for them, so they could be free." Sent the message. Then he strapped himself into his seat and watched through as Earth grew larger ahead. Behind it, the fleet waited like a swarm of angry insects. "How can one ship beat 100? Asked. Sung's laugh echoed through the command core, cold and confident. "Because they're thinking like soldiers. They're planning tactics and strategies, trying to figure out how to fight a warship." His eyes glowed brighter. "But I'm not a warship. Not anymore. I'm the Grim Reaper, and you can't fight death." The black ship crossed Mars's orbit, heading for Earth. The battle was about to begin. The armada filled Earth's orbit like a steel cloud. 100 warships, each larger than anything humanity had built before the war. Warlord stood on the bridge of his flagship, all 4 of his eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Where is it?" he demanded. "Still approaching, my lord. Current speed suggests arrival in 6 hours." Clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. "Good. When it arrives, we destroy it. Then we teach the humans what happens to those who resist." On Earth, watched the sky. The ships were visible even in daylight, dark shapes blocking out the sun. In the bunker, his fighters waited. Across the planet, thousands of other resistance fighters did the same. "All teams report ready," Sora said. "Explosives placed at designated targets. We're just waiting for the signal." His radio crackled. His voice transmitted from Mars. "All resistance cells, this is command. Sung will reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. When he engages the fleet, you strike. Every command center, every weapons depot, every garrison. Hit them hard, hit them fast. This is our only chance." "Understood," replied. He looked at his people. "Get some rest. In 6 hours, we change everything." But Sung didn't wait 6 hours. The Reaper appeared suddenly, phasing into normal space right in the middle of the formation. Alarms blared across the fleet. Jumped from his command chair. "How did it get there? We had sensors covering every approach." "It just appeared, my lord. No warning, no signature." Sung's voice broadcast across all frequencies. "You came to my world, you hurt my people, now I hurt you." The Reaper moved. It was like watching a dancer, thought, but a dancer covered in knives. The ship twisted and spun through the fleet, cutting through hulls with focused energy beams. Ships exploded. Others spun away, engines destroyed, life support failing. All ships opened fire, screamed, "Kill it." The fleet fired. Thousands of weapons, enough firepower to destroy a moon. But the Reaper wasn't there anymore. It had phased again, reappearing behind the fleet. "He's playing with them," said, watching from inside the ship. "No," Sung's voice replied. "I'm studying them, learning their patterns, their response times, their weaknesses." 3 more ships died. The Reaper phased again. On Earth, Wu watched through hacked communications. The aliens were panicking, their formations falling apart as ships tried to track the impossible enemy. "He's not even using his full power," Wu said in amazement. "Look at the energy readings. The ship has weapons we haven't seen yet." Grabbed his radio. "All teams stand by. When he gives the signal, we move." In orbit, realized something terrible. They couldn't win. This single ship was tearing through his fleet like it was made of paper. He had 2 choices, retreat or call for reinforcements. He chose both. Send emergency signal to home fleet. Request immediate assistance. All available ships to Earth, maximum speed. "My lord, that will take days." "We just need to survive until then. All ships, defensive formation. We outlast it until help arrives." But Sung heard the transmission. The Reaper had cracked their communications within minutes of arriving. "You called for help," Sung said. How interesting, let me respond. The Reaper stopped moving. It hung in space, surrounded by the fleet. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every ship's communication system activated at once. Sung's message broadcast across the entire network, reaching not just Earth but every outpost in the sector. To the Empire, you sent 100 ships to hold Earth. I destroyed 30 in the first hour. You called for reinforcements. I welcomed them. Send 1,000 ships. Send 10,000, it doesn't matter. I am not one man in one ship. I am humanity's answer to conquest. I am what happens when you push us too far. Come to Earth. See what awaits you. The transmission ended, but Sung wasn't done. The Reaper's weapons ports opened, all of them. Energy readings spiked. Target every military installation on Earth, Sung said. Fire. Beams of light fell from orbit, precise and devastating. Not aimed at cities or civilians, only military targets. The command centers had marked. The weapons depots, the garrisons. Each beam struck with surgical precision. Now said, all teams go. Across Earth, the resistance rose. Bombs exploded at weakened positions. Fighters emerged from hiding, attacking the confused and disorganized occupation forces. Humans poured into the streets, fighting back after weeks of submission. In Seoul led his team against the sector command center. The building was already half destroyed by Sung's orbital strike. Soldiers stumbled from the wreckage, and fighters were waiting. For Earth, shouted, and his people echoed him. In orbit, watched his fleet continue to die. 40 ships destroyed now. 50. The Reaper moved like a ghost, unstoppable and inevitable. All ships retreat, he finally ordered. Fall back to Rally Point Delta. My lord, what about the occupation forces on Earth? Leave them. We need to survive to fight another day. The fleet broke formation and ran. Sung let them go, watching them flee. Sung said, contact your father, tell him the fleet is retreating. Earth's orbit is clear. Sent the message. On Mars, received it and nearly collapsed with relief. It worked, said beside him. We actually won. Not yet, replied. Sung said they called for reinforcements. This isn't over. He was right. 2 days later, reinforcements arrived. Not 100 ships this time, 20,000. The entire sector fleet called in to deal with the threat. They arrived in Earth's orbit like a metallic storm. Their admiral broadcast a simple message. Ghost ship, surrender now or we will destroy your planet. Sung had been waiting. The Reaper hung between the fleet and Earth, tiny and alone. You brought more ships, Sung said. Good, it's been 40 years since I had a real challenge. You're insane, the admiral replied. One ship cannot defeat 20,000. You're right, Sung said. One ship can't, but I'm not alone. From behind the moon, human ships emerged. Not military ships. Freighters, mining vessels, civilian transports. Every human with a ship had answered the call. Thousands of them, poorly armed and barely armored. On the Reaper felt his heart sink. They'll be slaughtered. Those ships have no weapons, no shields. They're flying coffins. I know, Sung said quietly. Tell them to stand down. I won't let them die for me. His voice came through the communication channel. Sung, we're not standing down. These are our people, our families. If you fight, we fight beside you. You'll die. Maybe, but we're tired of being afraid. We're tired of running. If this is where we make our stand, then so be it. Sung was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, more human than it had been in days. Thank you, but no, you've sacrificed enough. I was built for this. I became this thing so that you wouldn't have to. Sung, old friend, remember what you told me 40 years ago, before I volunteered for this project. You said that sometimes one person has to stand in the dark so others can live in the light. I'm that person. I've always been that person. The Reaper's systems began to overload. Power readings spiked across every system, looked at the displays in alarm. What are you doing? Protocol Omega, Sung said. The final option, the one we hoped we'd never use. On Mars, the old scientist who had kept Sung hidden for 40 years gasped. No, Sung, no. Protocol Omega will kill you. The dimensional breach will tear you apart. I know, but it will take the fleet with me. Sung's voice was calm, accepting. It's what I was made for, to be the weapon Earth needed. There has to be another way, said. There isn't, not one where humanity survives, but it's okay. I've had 40 years to make peace with this. I knew from the beginning that I was a weapon, not a person. Weapons are meant to be used. The Reaper began accelerating toward the fleet. Energy readings climbed higher, past safe levels, past critical levels. Get to an escape pod, now. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. The pod bay doors opened, and Seat ejected him from the command core. He shouted, fought against the restraints, but the pod launched anyway, carrying him away from the Reaper. Through the pod's window, watched his father's last message appear on the communication screen. His face, tears streaming down. Sung, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Tell Earth I'm sorry I couldn't be the hero they wanted. I became a monster instead, but maybe that's what they needed. The Reaper dove toward the fleet, glowing with impossible energy. Aboard a ship in the massive fleet, finally understood what was happening. Retreat, all ships emergency jump, it's going to. The universe screamed. The light was wrong. That was first thought when he regained consciousness in the escape pod. The stars looked different, twisted somehow, like someone had stirred them with a spoon. His radio crackled, multiple voices all talking at once. Confusion, fear, questions. What happened? Is Earth still there? Did anyone see the Reaper? Looked through the pod's window. Earth was still there, whole and unharmed. The moon hung in its proper place, but the fleet was gone, not destroyed, not scattered, just gone as if it had never existed. And there, drifting in the space where the fleet had been, was the Reaper, dark and still, but intact. Father whispered into his radio, Sung is still there, the ship survived. On Mars, jumped from his seat. Get a medical team, send every ship we have, I want Sung recovered now. But Sung wasn't responding. The Reaper drifted, silent and dead, its systems completely shut down. It took 3 hours for the first rescue ships to reach the Reaper. His pod was picked up along the way. He insisted on being part of the recovery team. They cut their way into the ship. The corridors were dark, emergency lights barely functioning. The team moved carefully through the vessel, searching for survivors. Led them to the command core. The door was sealed, and they had to use cutting torches to get through. Inside, they found Sung still connected to his pod, floating in the zero gravity. A scientist and his granddaughter checked his vital signs. He's alive, she said in amazement. Barely, but alive. His neural pathways are severely damaged. The link to the ship burned out most of his higher brain functions. Can you save him? Asked. I don't know, but we have to try. They carefully disconnected Sung from the ship systems. Each cable they removed caused his body to twitch. When the last one came free, his eyes opened. They were no longer glowing blue, just normal human eyes, brown and confused. Where am I? Sung asked. His voice was different, younger somehow, without the cold mechanical edge. You're safe, said. You saved us, all of us. I don't remember any of it. On Earth, the resistance fighters stood among the ruins of the occupation. The aliens who hadn't fled were surrendering, confused and leaderless. Their mighty fleet was gone, their warlord missing. They had no idea what to do. Accepted the surrender of a captain in what used to be Seoul's main plaza. Where is our fleet? The captain asked. Gone, said. Your admiral tried to destroy Earth. Our weapon stopped him. Now you have 2 choices. Leave peacefully or join your fleet. The left. News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than light. The story grew with each telling. One human, bonded to a machine, had faced down an empire. 20,000 ships had vanished in a flash of light. The Grim Reaper had appeared, and death itself had come for Earth's enemies. Alien species that had been watching humanity's fall suddenly reconsidered. If one desperate human could do that, what could humanity do if truly unleashed? The Empire, proud conquerors of dozens of worlds, sued for peace. They offered reparations from human space and classified Earth as a forbidden zone. Their military records would later show a single note next to humanity's entry: do not engage under any circumstances. But Earth paid a price for its freedom. Sung spent 6 months in a medical facility on Mars, and a team of specialists worked day and night to repair the damage to his brain. They managed to restore most of his functions, but his memories of being the Reaper were gone. 40 years of bonding with the ship, erased by the neural overload. Visited him often. They would sit and talk and would tell him stories about the war, about what he had done. Sung listened but couldn't connect to them. They felt like stories about someone else. "Do you regret it?" Sung asked one day, "making me into that thing?" "Every day," said honestly. "But I'm grateful too. You gave us our future back." "I don't feel like a hero. I feel empty, like I'm missing something important." "You're missing 40 years of your life. That's not a small thing." The doctor from the Resistance worked with Sung on rehabilitation, teaching him to walk again, to use his hands, to be human. She was patient and kind, never pushing too hard. "You saved my life," she told him. "I was in Seoul when they invaded. I would have died if you hadn't stopped them." "I don't remember saving anyone." "Maybe that's better. Maybe you can start fresh, build a new life." Slowly, Sung began to improve. His memories didn't return, but he started making new ones. He learned to laugh again, to enjoy simple things: food, sunlight, conversation. Visited him often, bringing news from Earth. The planet was recovering. Cities were being rebuilt. The resistance leaders had formed a new government with as the defense minister. "They want to honor you," said. "Give you medals, make you a hero." "I don't want that. I just want to be normal." "You're never going to be normal. Everyone knows what you did." "But I don't. To me, it's just stories. I feel like I stole someone else's glory." A year after the battle, Earth held a memorial service, not for Sung, who was alive, but for everyone who had died in the war. Thousands of names read aloud, cities remembered, sacrifices acknowledged. Sung attended, standing at the back of the crowd. He listened to the names and felt a weight he couldn't explain. These people had died while he slept. They had fought while he hid in the dark. After the ceremony, an old woman approached him, the scientist who had kept him hidden for 40 years. "You don't remember me, do you?" she asked. "No, I'm sorry." "Don't be. I put you in that ship. I bonded you to that machine. I kept you there for 40 years because I believed humanity might need you someday. I was right, but I'm not proud of what I did to you." "Why did you do it?" "Because I was afraid. The Titan rebellion showed us how vulnerable we were. I thought having a weapon like you would keep us safe. But weapons don't keep people safe. People keep people safe." Sung looked at the memorial, at all those names. "Maybe we're both right. Maybe we needed both: people to build and protect, and a weapon to scare off those who would hurt us. Maybe, but I hope humanity never needs another Reaper. One was more than enough." The Reaper itself was moved to lunar orbit, placed in a permanent museum. They preserved it exactly as it was after the battle, dark and silent. A reminder of what humanity could create when desperate, and what it should never create again. Sometimes, late at night, Sung would look up at the moon and see the ship hanging there. He couldn't remember being connected to it, but he felt something. A pull, like an old friend calling from far away. 5 years after the battle, Sung had rebuilt his life. He worked as a consultant for Earth's defense forces, teaching tactics and strategy. He had a small apartment in New Seoul, rebuilt from the ruins. He had friends, including, who had become more than just his doctor. One evening visited with news. His father had died peacefully in his sleep. Old age, nothing more. He wanted you to have this, said, handing Sung a letter. Sung opened it, his handwriting shaky but clear. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. I wanted to tell you something I never had the courage to say in person. You weren't just a weapon, you were my friend. You were a hero, even if you can't remember it. The 40 years you gave us, the sacrifice you made, it saved humanity. But more than that, it proved something important. It proved that even when we turn ourselves into monsters, we can find our way back to being human. Thank you for everything. Rest well, old friend. You've earned it. Sung folded the letter carefully. He didn't cry, but his hands trembled. He was a good man, Sung said. He thought the same about you. Years passed. Earth grew stronger. New colonies were established, farther from home than ever before. Human ships explored the galaxy, and other species gave them room. The legend of the Grim Reaper had spread far and wide. Alien civilizations updated their records. Humanity was no longer classified as conquered, or the new classification read simply, extreme threat, do not engage. Somewhere on a world, young soldiers were taught about Earth, about the war they lost, about the price of underestimating an enemy, about the black ship that appeared from nowhere and changed everything. Remember this, their instructors said. Humans don't just fight to live. They fight so that death itself fears them. Never forget what happened when we tried to conquer them. Never make that mistake again. On Earth, in a small apartment in New Seoul, Sung stood on his balcony watching the sunset. Joined him, sliding her hand into his. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "The future, how strange it is to have one." "Strange good or strange bad?" "Strange good, very good." Above them the moon rose, and hanging in its orbit, invisible from the ground but always there, was the Reaper. Dark and dormant, a guardian and a warning, a reminder of humanity's darkest hour and greatest triumph. They thought they had won they thought humanity would kneel. But they were wrong. Because humans don't surrender, they adapt, they survive, they fight, and when pushed far enough, they become something that even death itself would fear. That was the lesson learned among the stars. That was the legacy of the Grim Reaper. And it was a lesson the galaxy would never forget.